and I just didn't know what was going on. So I'm sitting at home and I'm online and kind of doing two things, kind of looking at how can I learn more about bookkeeping and understand what they're talking about. And what can I do to make up the income I'm missing, or at least some of it? I don't want to have a job. I want to spend time with my son. I have a few years left with him. What can I do from home?
I love bookkeeping.
Hello and welcome to the I Love Bookkeeping Show. I am your host, Ben Robinson, and today, as always, we have got a treat for you. We've got a very special guest, and we will get to her in just a moment. But hey, I want to remind you that if you want to go and hear all of the shows, look at the show notes, look at some of the other goodies that we have, please go to ilovebookkeeping.com. ilovebookkeeping.com. There is also a guest application. So if you would like to be a guest on this show, we would love to have you. I'd love to have the chance to work with you. It's so exciting for me to be able to help others really through all of these trials and tribulations and things that I had. So the be a guest application is on ilovebookkeeping.com. Now, I mentioned today that we have a special treat with us. She hails from Jacksonville, Florida, where they used to have what is called the world's largest cocktail party, the game between Georgia and Florida, every October, but now they can't call it that because of liability purposes, but I digress. But she is just an inspiration. I can't wait for you to hear her story, what she has gone through and how she has built her business. So welcome to the stage of I Love Bookkeeping, Annette Woods.
Thank you, Ben. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we are excited to have you. Okay, so let's give a little bit of background because you have a unique situation. So before you were in bookkeeping, what was your life about?
Well, I was a dental hygienist for 35 years, a very long time, and my life was very structured.
Right.
I couldn't live wherever I wanted to. Anytime you change states, you had to have a new license. Scheduling doctor's appointments was hard. I had patients on the hour, every hour. So every minute of my time was accounted for.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's, and you were down in somebody's mouth 8 hours a day, right?
Yes, correct.
And I've heard, I've never done this, but I've heard it's pretty a physically demanding job.
It is, and that's even part of my story where it starts to take its toll on me.
Right. Yeah. The dentist say, which since I work down in the mouth, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm looking at your story here that we chatted about briefly. So kind of talk about, so you were a dental hygienist, like what's the evolution of getting to where you are today? What were the circumstances of getting you to this point?
Yeah, it was really a series of things that seemed to fall in place. But my husband, who was 56 years old, had a sudden death. He went into the hospital with chest pains and 5 days later passed away from a very aggressive leukemia. So
I'm sorry.
I was there with Thank you. I was there with a teenage son. Over half of my income just totally disappeared. And to top it all, my husband was a businessman. But after his death, I found out that he wasn't very good at keeping the books. Mm-hmm. And his business was a mess. So on top of grieving, I had to deal with the business and forensic accountants and lawyers. And not having the money, just watching money go out the window, I knew things had to change. So my first step was, okay, how am I going to make up this income? And then also dealing with forensic accountants. And I didn't speak the language. I've been in healthcare for 35 years, and I felt very stupid. And I just didn't know what was going on. So I'm sitting at home, and I'm online, and kind of doing two things, kind of looking at how can I learn more about bookkeeping and understand what they're talking about, and what can I do to make up the income I'm missing, or at least some of it. I don't want to have a job. I want to spend time with my son. I have a few years left with him. What can I do from home? So I came across Penny Hoarder. I think that's what it was called. And
right.
I saw your ad for bookkeeping. And it really piqued my interest. And it's like, oh, well, I could kill two birds with one stone. I can learn a little bit about bookkeeping to see what's going on and maybe I can earn some income. And that was pretty much my goal when I started. And I just wanted to have a couple clients to make up what I was missing and make sure that my son through high school didn't have to suffer because of what happened in our life. So that's where it started.
Wow. So at this point, were you still a dental hygienist?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yes.
All right. And so fast forward to today, and are you still a dental hygienist practicing?
No, that also was another part of the puzzle that happened as I started doing the bookkeeping. The chemicals in the office started taking their toll on me, and I just kept getting sicker and sicker. And to the point where my doctor said, you can't do this profession anymore. And at that point, I only had 2 clients. And it's like, okay, let's go for it. And so I did.
Wow. And today, how many clients do you serve, Annette?
Well, I have 11 clients, but several of them have a few entities. I have one property management that has like 6 entities. And then there's some dentists that have a cattle farm. A lot of them, they own their building, so it's a different entity, and we take care of that too. So it's a full plate right now.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned dentists. So do you serve dentists exclusively?
Yes.
Okay.
I try to. Yes.
So you can use words like, this is an amalgamation of this.
Yes. I speak their language, which is helpful.
Yes. Do you enjoy serving them?
I do, because it's what I know. It's what I'm comfortable with. And I know dentists 35 years. I just kind of know what they're like.
Yes. Yeah. Every profession has their uniqueness, right? And you got a backstage pass all these years.
Yes. So,
well, first of all, congratulations for doing what you have done and creating the life for yourself for you and your son. That's tremendous. And inside of, I can imagine, and I've never been in that situation that you were in. I can't imagine what I would do, but kudos to you for saying, hey, I'm responsible for this. I'm going to make it happen in my life. And this is exactly what you did.
Thank you.
So, yes, you're welcome. Now, you've got 11 clients today, or 11, at least 11 individual clients, and they're all dentists?
Except for one.
Okay. All right. And you were going to continue on the pathway of serving dentists exclusively? Yes.
Okay. That seems to be what's working for me. And that is the ones I'm able to build the relationships with. That's the one. I've done a lot of things not correctly. I listen to the other podcasts and everyone sounds like they have it so together.
Huh.
That's not me.
No, they don't. Okay. So just so you know, and everybody else out there, don't compare your daily life to somebody else's highlight reel. That is not true, right? Everybody has their own crap, right? Yes. They may be good at this one thing, and that's what you're hearing about Annette. But behind the scenes, it's like the tip of the iceberg. Oh, that's a beautiful little, what? No, there's a bunch of crap that goes on and underneath it. It's called business. It's called life.
Yes.
Right. So no, they don't have their stuff together. They just have a different set of problems, right? And that's one of the things that I love about business ownership is that, heck, it's always something new. It's always a new challenge. And I see it now as not roadblocks, but as opportunities for growth.
I agree. And your program has been very good at opening my eyes to different possibilities, because when I started, it was just, oh, let's make some extra money. And now I'm looking at, well, yeah, I could serve 11 clients and I've replaced my hygiene income.
Oh, wow.
But
that's awesome.
Thank you. But there's more. I don't want to be stuck here paying payroll, doing payroll, doing bill pay. I want to be able to go on vacation and not always have to take so much work with me.
Right.
I'm looking at those. I purchased the OPP and I'm working through that, getting my processes done. But 2 years ago, I would have never dreamed that dream.
Right. Okay. Well, you dreamed this dream and you fulfilled it. So let's talk about the next dream. Okay. So, but one thing I do want to go back to before that, though, is that you said you felt stupid about business and finance.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, everybody does, because it's like going to a foreign country where they speak a foreign language and you don't know it. That's what bookkeeping and accounting is. Now, it's I won't say that it's easy, as you know, to understand it, but it's pretty simple to get the hang of it, but it's always learning, right? It's always grows. So,
constantly.
yeah. Yeah. And we have to have that mentality as we go through our business, is to always be getting better. But I just want to touch on that because that's not unique, right? Everybody feels that. Everybody feels when they come into something new that they don't know the language. It's just like you can go into a dental office and you can hear the conversation between the dentist and the hygienist, or the assistant, and you know exactly what's going on. But when the first day that you walked in there, even after school, you were like, are they speaking the same language that I'm speaking?
Yes. And I remember not having the confidence in myself and being able to communicate because I was always so unsure.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that way now. I even feel some days that it could all fall apart.
Mm-hmm. So do I. Yeah. Yeah. When people tell me that, I'm like, yeah, and so join the crowd. Like anybody who tells you that they don't is kind of like saying, you're a liar. Come on, let's get real. Let's be genuine here. So thank you for being real on this. Now, let's talk about that dream. So you have 11 clients now and you have a certain amount of income, right? And you kind of, is it fair to say that it's no longer about like paying the bills, although we all want more money for that. But right now it's not like, hey, I need to put food on the table to get new clients. Is that kind of where you are?
Yeah. I don't have that fear of, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And, or that fear of how am I going to pay for this for my son? Yes, I would like to earn more, but it's not the fear driving me as much anymore. It's wanting to improve and be better and grow.
Okay. Probably the best piece of advice that I can give to you all day long as we go through this is to realize that right now and realize that the power is in your hands. And I don't mean in a negative way, like, hey, I'm the almighty powerful Oz or anything like that. What I mean is that you don't have to take on any new clients. You can be selective in those. And what that does is it totally change. If you truly believe that, right, and you truly embrace that, then all of your messaging and all the things that we're going to be talking about here as it relates to marketing, that's going to come across because you're not coming from a place of fear or scarcity. You're coming from a place of, hey, I'm interviewing you, you're interviewing me to see if we are a good fit.
And I do feel like I'm at that place right now because I do have clients that I have undervalued myself.
Right.
Some of them I have learned to make up for it in add-ons such as payroll and bill pay. But now I'm starting to get to, okay, I want to find the clients that let me do the things I enjoy doing and not just trying to have, as you say, someone that fogs a mirror.
Right.
So yeah, it's exciting and scary.
Oh yeah. Well, they have to fog a mirror and have a paycheck or have a checkbook, right?
Yes.
Some way in which to pay you,
yes.
And it doesn't bounce. Okay, so where do you want to take it? Like if you're looking out 3 years from now, where do you see your business? Where would be a perfect place for you to be?
I really would like to have 20, 30 clients and have someone doing the day-to-day reconciling all those tedious type things. Although I don't mind them, I really enjoy bringing a new client on and figuring out how to redo their chart of accounts, how I'm going to give them what they're asking for, and I get excited about that.
Okay, so 20 to 30 clients. Let's focus on this for just a second. I'll challenge you. You don't want 20 to 30 clients. You want what 20 to 30 clients is going to give you, right?
Oh, yes, that's correct.
One thing to do is to say, what is 20 to 30 clients going to do for me, for you? Obviously, this is you, and I'm inside your head right now, right? For you, for your son, for your life, like what's that going to do? So rather than taking it from the approach of, I need this many clients, is that this is where I want to get in my life.
Okay, that makes sense. And yes, the 20 to 30 clients is going to give me enough income to hire people to help me and give me more time freedom.
Okay. All right. So what I want you to first do is to get crystal clear on this. Okay. So saying, And I like to start with my lifestyle. Like I design my life and go, this is what I want. I want to be able to work 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I want to focus on these activities, and everything else I want to give to other people and allow them to do that, right? To do, as you say, the reconciliations, the more day-to-day type of tasks, so that you can focus on the advice. You can focus on helping your clients to get to the place where they want to go with their practice.
Yes.
So I want you to get very specific on that in terms of your lifestyle, what that's going to do, like writing out what's a day, what's a week, what's a month, what's a season like, where's that vacation that you want to take where you don't have to call into the office, where you don't have to take your laptop to the beach and pay bills. Really getting granular on all of this in terms of what this is going to do for you, because then we have a lens, Annette, that we can start making decisions like, hey, if I take on this client, is it going to push me towards that vision of my life, or is it going to push me away from it?
Yes.
And this gives it, because right now, if you were anything like me, because I was in your shoes, it was like, okay, I got people that want to be my clients. Great, come on. And this is a good fee. Well, maybe that's great. And that client would push you for it. But then there's another one that's going to push you away from it because they're going to have to do bill pay and they only want you to do all this stuff. And so you got to first have these operating lanes. It's kind of like driving on the road. You got a yellow on the left and a white line on the right. You don't even think about it. And we got to stay in between those two.
Okay.
And this is going to give you a lens to do that. So now, after you do that and create that life, then you say, okay, well, income-wise, right? Like gross income, what would I need, okay, to live this life, okay? And so then you're kind of backing in. That would mean I probably need 23 clients. And getting specific, so instead of 20 to 30 clients, saying I'm going to get to 23 clients by year 2021, by December 31st. So now we've gone from saying I want 20 to 30 clients. You're going from saying, no, I want this lifestyle. This is how my day is going to look, my week. And that means that I need 23 clients that are generating this much money. And the people that are in my business, these are the people, this is what they're doing. And then, so instead of building it from a client, the feature, right? Having those clients, we're building it from a lifestyle, and that's more compelling.
It definitely, I can see that. And I just have to be more specific, it sounds like, and able to plan that and have those goals in sight. And which I'm learning to do through your courses. Like I've said, they've brought me a long ways.
Well, I can tell you that was years and years of people like, how do you do all that? I'm like, well, you screw it all up. And then you go, holy crap, I got to do something different. And then you start figuring it out, right? But now I've kind of hacked a little bit of, instead of trying to just start something from scratch and making all the mistakes, is going and finding the person who's already done what I want to do, buying their program, bending their ear, paying for an hour of their time or a day, whatever the case may be. And that just hacks it, right? That gets me to the brass tacks. It helps me to avoid a lot of the pitfalls. I mean, you're doing the same thing.
Well, yes. But I'm a slow learner. And if I had to do, I listened to one of the podcasts where they said they had no regrets. They wouldn't do anything differently. I'm a little bit more hard-headed, and I didn't always do things the way Ben recommended. And I'm going to tell you, do things the way Ben recommended. Well, because I have made so many mistakes. But look I'm still here. Absolutely.
Yes. It's funny that you mentioned that. I was just watching a Netflix special this weekend by Brené Brown, and I think it's called the Call to Courage, I believe is the title of it. And she does a quote from her book, which is from Theodore Roosevelt, which talks about basically, if you're going to be in the arena, you're going to get the crap kicked out of you. You're going to get thrown down, but you get back up and you're in the arena, right? You're fighting the fight. So that's for you, Annette, and for everybody listening. I mean, that's business, that's life, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Would you?
No, I wouldn't.
If you could trade your life and go back to being a hygienist, and even if you doubled your income from right now, I mean, would that be compelling? Would you be like, heck yeah, I'm going to go do that? Or would it be like, no, I'll do it because, yeah.
No, I mean, it's really changed who I am. And the feeling 3 years ago, I never would have dreamed I could do this.
Right.
So, and the time that I have with my son, I might work a lot of hours, but if my son needs something, I can do it and make up the hours later. I can't do that as a dental hygienist. My patient's in the chair at this time.
Right. Yeah. That's true. That's true. And I think that we just take this next, but we got to get you, I just encourage you to get really solid on this vision and mapping it out, what that means day in, day out, week in, week out, and then creating your business around your life, which is really what you've done up to this point. Now it's just, it's like you hike to the top of this mountain. You're like, oh, I'm there. And then you go, oh, there's another mountain.
Yeah.
I wonder what's up there. But you got to see it as a positive, right? It's like, oh, well, I get to see a whole new terrain and I get to look back and look at the other mountain and I got perspective.
It is my story. Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
And your course is showing me, I mean, just listening, even being the 5-star student where you have those videos and listening to them, it's like it's opening my eyes to, oh, I need to reach this level. Oh, I need,
Yes.
It gives me vision.
Well, and I hope that that's in a good way, not saying, kind of going back to your point that, oh my gosh, I wish that, it seems like everybody has their stuff together when nope, they don't. It's just hey, I didn't realize this is possible, or I didn't realize that this is the way that I could get there.
Yes.
All right.
And it is a positive.
Yeah. So let's kind of focus over. So I hope that gives you a little bit of direction there, but let's focus on the specific challenge that you're having right now. So why don't you tee that up and tell us how we can help?
For me, I think a lack of self-confidence, and I picked up on the bookkeeping part really quickly, but marketing was very foreign to me, and just having the confidence to relay my value. And I went through a really tough period. I had given 4 proposals in a row that the dentist accepted, and then 2 days later or 3 days later, their CPA talked them out of it. And to me, that tells me I'm not getting my value through to them, because, that CPA has let their books become a mess over the past 3 years, but yet they let them talk them out of using me. So I just, I have trouble with that irresistible selling statement. And I've spent a ton of money where I didn't need to. If I just could grasp your course a little bit better, but I don't know what it is. I can't seem to get there.
Okay. So a couple of things that stood out to me there. It's self-confidence, right?
Yes.
And then I want to drill. So I'd like to talk about that and drilling down specifically on the marketing challenges. Now, you've said that you spent a ton of money unnecessarily. Was that on like advertising? What was?
No, it was on someone that helps you market, that they did all the things you said not to do. The automated in LinkedIn messages. And they did help me with a few things on how to talk to clients. But I spent a ton of money there. And right. I didn't need to. And really, when I got frustrated with that, I started doing better by branching out into other things. I started listening to more of, your yakety yak and, listening to more what Melanie has to say on LinkedIn.
Right. Yep.
But I still lack that statement, or, I'm changing my views on what I think the dentists need, but I just can't seem to communicate it well.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that we can do some simple things here, but so specifically with marketing, you said that that's foreign, right? So is the problem? So we need to figure out what it is. Is the problem like getting leads?
No.
Okay. So you can get leads, right?
Yeah, I have over 4,000 on LinkedIn.
Okay. And most of those dentists?
95% are dentists.
Okay. So those are contacts, right? So those aren't leads yet. So a lead, I say, is somebody who has raised their hand to say, Annette, I'm interested in what you are doing, the service that you are offering, the benefit that you provide. So taking those contacts and creating leads out of them, how are you doing at that, getting them to raise their hand?
I like doing the blogs. And I put my blogs in LinkedIn. I get them that way. And I do send out the 3 messages and try to add some value, maybe attaching my blog to it, or just keeping it simple. And stating how I can help their cash flow, or but I don't think that's what's grabbing them. A lot of them are price shopping.
Okay. So when you post something like that on LinkedIn or on your blog, how much response are you getting?
It depends on the subject. I'm learning that.
Okay.
Fraud is huge.
Oh, yeah.
Anything on fraud, tons.
Yep.
You know, other than that, it's kind of mixed with the cash flow. There's some interest. Forget budgeting. They don't even read it. So,
Nope.
and I'm learning for them, for dentists, and I'm trying to figure out how to articulate it. Most of them have a practice management software.
Mm-hmm.
And
EagleSoft or Dentrix.
yes, and what they're experiencing is a lag in between that and the books.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the accountants are doing cash only.
Mm-hmm.
So you get what's coming in, it doesn't match what's in EagleSoft or Dentrix.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have found ways to be able to do that, bring the AR in, just kind of close that gap and have it make more sense for them.
Right.
But I don't know how to articulate that.
Okay. All right. So what I really want to figure out is so is the initial conversations, like how many new initial conversations, how many conversations you have with new potential clients a month?
Probably 4, 5, 6.
Okay. So that's a good lead flow. And just to qualify, I want to make sure that we're on the same page here. That means that a dentist has responded in some way directly to an ad, to a blog, to a message on LinkedIn and said, I'm interested in hearing more.
Yeah.
And so you're saying 4 to 6 a month. Okay. All right. And is that consistent every month?
No, because my marketing isn't consistent. When I, back in January, I was onboarding 4 or 5 at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And so my marketing suffered because I can't do it all.
Right.
So it's not consistent. It's up and down.
Okay. All right. And that is one of the cardinal rules of marketing is to be consistent, right? 2 things you never want to stop doing in your practice, in your business is marketing. Doesn't mean you have to spend money, but marketing and always looking for good people.
Okay.
Whether you're ready to hire or not is beside the point, but always looking for good people, always at least having a conversation. Most of the time, it's not the right time. It's not the right person, but having that let's use an old school metaphor here, Rolodex, if you will, of people that could come work with you and marketing. Those are 2 consistent activities that every bookkeeping professional who wants to grow their business should be doing.
Okay.
So being consistent, and I understand that, right? It's like, oh crap, I got all this stuff to onboard and now I'm overwhelmed. And then 2 months later, you're like, okay, well, that storm went past. What am I going to do now? Where are the new clients?
Yes.
Doesn't mean you have to take on the new clients. In fact, that's going back to our notion earlier is that the power is in your hands, right? Realizing that you don't have to have these clients. Because I think what's happening here, Annette, is that you're not having a problem getting the leads. The lack of confidence or the I don't want to call it desperation, but the hey, it's like, do you remember back in high school if the boy was like, oh, will you go out with me? Will you go out with me? And you're like, are you what? No, you're weird. Not that's you, right? But the person who was more calm, cool, and collected about it, like, okay, that's a better approach. So I think one of the things that you really have to do going into these conversations with clients or potential clients is to realize that, right? I think that's going to be huge on your self-confidence. Like, I don't have to have this turkey, yes. Right? And you're not thinking negative towards them. You're just saying it's just relaxing you. Yep. And that is going to come through big time.
I have started to see that change a little bit in speaking with people. It isn't as much desperation. And, I don't hang up the phone going, oh my God, I was such an idiot. Right. I have a little bit more confidence in speaking with them.
Right. Okay. All right. So getting in there, I think that's going to make a big difference. So let's walk through your lead capture here thing. So you have this initial conversation with them, and what happens usually? Like, give me the last one that you had. Like, what was that sequence like? So you posted something up, right? And then they reached out to you. Is that how it went?
Actually, my last one, I believe in being out there and talking to everyone. I had a contact in the course, BBL, that she had changed niches and decided she wasn't going to do dentistry, but she had a lead and gave me the lead.
Right.
So I called them and it went really well. I have a written out list of questions that I asked them to kind of see so they can see what I can do for them and that I know what I'm talking about. And they were very excited and, oh, I'm going to hire you and I'll get with you on getting my books. And I get ghosted.
Yes. Yes. That happens quite frequently. You know, everybody listening here, they've gone through that. Excuse me just a second. All right. Had a sneeze there. Didn't want to do that in the mic on you. Everybody's gone through that, right? That happens. Let's go back here. And here I am playing the investigator, right? I love doing this sort of thing. So let's talk about those questions that you're asking them. Give me some examples of the types of questions that you're asking.
Just starting out simple. What does your bookkeeping look right now? Do you have a bookkeeper? What software are you using? Are you getting financial statements? I ask them about their practice management software and the information coming out of that. So I just ask a series of questions and they're like, yeah. And I tend to let them talk and listen to what they're saying just by asking the questions. I really don't have a spiel of telling them what I'm going to do. I'm hoping that the questions kind of kind of tell that story for me.
Okay. Aha. All right. Think we're getting somewhere. Those are important questions, Annette. Very, very important questions. I don't lead with those. I lead with pretty much the same thing that we just did. Tell me about your practice. What got you here? Where do you want to go with this? Who else is impacted by this? I want to start at the top and start with getting to their why.
Okay.
Why are you doing all this? Like, what's your vision for the future?
Okay.
Because one, nobody's ever asked them these questions. Their financial planner, if they have one, is just trying to sell them stuff. And I'm painting in broad brushes, right? I don't believe that people are evil and all that, but people just want to get to the features, make the sale, and get out of there.
Yes.
Nobody's asked them these questions. Mm-hmm. And you doing this, so we're setting the tone. You're asking them questions that they have never been posed before. You're asking them to go into a deep, dark part of their mind going, oh my gosh, I don't really have a vision. And now you are an authority, okay? And not an authoritarian, ogre, anything like that. But you're starting with this, like, let's crystallize where you want to take your practice.
Okay.
And getting them to talk openly about that and you sitting back and taking it all in. And probably after you do this for a year, and with you, it probably would be after just a few months, you can almost tell by the first sentence or two out of their mouth where this conversation is going. Okay. And that right there, just setting that tone and not talking about the bookkeeping, there's a place for that and there's a time for that. I get that. But not starting and leading with all of this stuff, because here's what's happening. This is my notion. They don't know the answers to these questions. So remember what you said at the very beginning that you felt? What'd you say you felt about bookkeeping?
I didn't speak the language.
You didn't speak the language. So that makes you feel what?
Stupid.
You said stupid. So what do they feel? Now, so asking these questions, a lot of times they give you the blank stares, right?
Yes.
And they're giving you answers.
They have no clue. Yeah.
Yes. So instead of doing that, because I think that that they are feeling like, I don't want to say overwhelmed, but they're feeling stupid, right?
Yeah.
And even though the conversation may seem to go well, I think the underlying problem is that they, the reason that they're hopping back into or listening to their CPA is the devil that you know is better than the devil that you don't, but the devil not being you and not being the CPA, it being the mystery and shrouded around bookkeeping, accounting, and finance. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that just by changing this conversation now, what we have to do, it's not just about, hey, paint a picture and let's talk about, all this woo-woo stuff. Now it's saying, okay, it's exactly what we're doing here, right? So how do I plug in your business finances, your practice finances with that vision, right? And so, okay, then you want to make more money. Okay, I want to do that. So what we're trying to do is to lead them to the discovery that if they don't get in charge of this, that they're not going to be able to lead that life. And then we can start digging into, instead of saying, tell me a little bit about how bookkeeping goes right now. What's the flow, right? What happens? And get them to kind of go, oh, okay, well, tying it back to that vision, right? To say, all right, one of the things that we have to have is you got to be able to make, good decisions. You got to be able to make good, but how can you make good decisions if you're getting your financial statements 3 months late and they're not accurate? They're not reconciled with your dental practice software. That's one of the most important things I have found with my clients, and this is you stop talking, right? I found that with my clients, having the reconciliation between EagleSoft, between Dentrix, and your books is of utmost importance. And having that on an almost real-time basis is huge, right?
Yes.
But talking instead of there's two angles to talk, right? There's talk 2 times as much about fear, scare, the reason that fraud is so that you get people to respond is that it's fear-based.
Yes.
And whether we like it or not, we are attracted to things that are going to keep us away from fear more than things that are going to attract us to gain. We're all about seeking gain, right? Seeking pleasure and avoiding pain.
Yes.
But fear-based marketing sells better than pain, or excuse me, than gain. That's why you're getting this response. But my whole purpose in saying all of this is that really setting that vision, this is where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you are now, but you ain't getting to this place unless you change your ways. I don't want to say it that way. I want them to lead themselves to this conclusion in their mind. Holy crap, if I keep going this way, I'm going to keep getting the same results.
Makes sense. It really does. And definitely some tweaking there to do.
And really, it's not really a lot of tweaking per se. It's probably just waiting and saving those questions till later.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do this, then they're basically at the end of that conversation talking about their vision and where they are now going to say, hey, Annette, would you shut up and take my money, please?
I would love that.
Would you shut up and take my money? And I encourage you, if you're, I've done a whole class series on the consultative close, which is not me. It's actually a term by Frank Kern, where you basically are proving what you can do in advance, delivering them and going, hey, after that conversation, what I would probably do is to have a planning session with them to go, hey, this is where you told me you want to go. This is where you are now. This is exactly what you need to do. You need to, number one, get your books up to date. And here's how you do that. A, B, C. All right. And the second thing we need to do is to get a reconciliation system between, and I'm just ad-libbing here, between EagleSoft and QuickBooks Online. To do that, you do A, B, C. You're telling them everything. And by the way, you're not taking any money for this, and you're spending a lot of time on creating this plan. And then you give them the 3 action items that they need, the 3 tasks for each of those action items. At the end of that call, you go, that's what you need to do. Here's your sales line, right? Mm-hmm. Would you like some help?
Got it.
Yeah, I would. Oh, okay, cool. So that's where you lead into your offer. Then, it's going to be for this, and this, or it's going to be, $950 a month. You ready to go? Yep. Okay. There's no selling in that. You've just demonstrated your value. And, and you're closing right there on the call. Now, there'll still be some times where they're going to go and they're going to speak to their spouse or their CPA, or they're going to consult the stars, and they're going to come back and go, oh, okay, well, I changed my mind. That's just human nature. But I think that you're going to find a much more powerful close rate and a better quality client, and a way to communicate your value rather than through fancy words, through your actions, through what you've done, through something that nobody else has ever done for them.
Mm-hmm. Makes
and
sense.
Here's the pushback that people give me on this. They're like, well, Ben, I just told them everything they need to do. Why don't they just go do it on their own? Yeah, good luck with that, right? They're a dentist. Mm-hmm. They're down in the mouth.
Right.
Right. And then people say, well, they could just go give that to their CPA. I'm like, yeah. But let's say you get half the people that you do that with, right? Yeah, you're spending a lot of time on the beginning of this, and you're spending a lot of time demonstrating your value. But right there, instead of talking about your value, you showed them your value. Mm-hmm. And you've given them hope, and you've given them a freaking plan not just in abstract, but step by step, task by task, that they could take it and actually run with it. But they're not going to, because they don't have the time, they don't have the inclination,
Exactly.
and quite frankly, they don't like it. So, just taking that consultative approach and changing your viewpoint, I think, will help your close rate a lot more. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense, and I'm actually excited. I'm glad that this is recorded, so I could
yes,
just go over it. I'm already picturing in my mind what I need to do and getting my new consultation format going.
Yes. So I just think that, because it doesn't seem to be a lead problem, you getting people to raise their hand to say, Annette, I'm interested in what you're doing. Although we can always increase that, right? Getting people to do it. It doesn't seem to be that conversation. It just seems to be the like you said, communicating your value and getting them to say yes and to stick to that yes.
Yeah, and I think it's also going to help me eliminate the type of clients I don't want. And
Absolutely.
It being more enjoyable and being able to grow how I want to grow and get more into the consultation end of it for the future. And having, I listened to all this stuff and I'm excited about it. I'm so thrilled to get that step out of the way that's been holding me back.
Yeah. And it's so simple, right? When we think about it, so imagine that you were a patient and your mouth was all jacked up, right? And you had to come in and the dentist didn't charge you, but she said, hey, here's everything that we need to do. We're going to do this first, right? And then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do that. And here's the recovery and all this stuff. And here's what you're going to look at like afterwards. Here's a photo of it. Would you like some help? No, I think I'll do this on my own. Oh, good luck with that, right? I mean, it's kind of the same thing here.
It is.
The dentist spent a lot of time, but she knows that that's a $30,000 mouth reconstruction that is pure profit, or a lot of profit on that. And that's kind of what you're doing here for your clients. There's a couple of other like ninja things that I can give you on this. Like when you're presenting this plan to them, I like to present it, just like this, because people can't see it because it's just audio, but you and I can see face to face. I like to present it to them there. I like to present it also with a screen share, and then I like to give them a recording and transcription of this call afterward. And by the way, they have not paid me a dime yet, but this is a high value client. I mean, these are clients that you shouldn't be charging probably less than $1,000 a month for, and they're going to stay with you for a long time. So you can, the only thing you're really spending is a little bit of cash. Right? Maybe 10, 20, 30, maybe $100 per potential client that gets to this point. But you're spending a lot of time, but that's a high value, high possible return on investment.
Definitely.
But I think, for me, the main shift is what's going on inside your head, saying, I don't have to have this client. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate my value and leave them in a better place. And if they become my client, great. If not, great. I've still added value. Take the pressure off of you.
That part definitely sounds good. And I do believe I'm at that point.
Right. Another thing I would suggest that you do, as much as this pains me to do it, is to record my consultations with their approval, with the other person. We have to get their approval before recording anything. Get that and listen to myself afterward. How was my confidence level? How did I speak? Right? Was I speaking meekly? Not that we want to come out there and be somebody we're not, but whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, you can speak confidently, right? You can portray, and the best way to do that is to do what you do. Right? To show them how the process is. I would also suggest, and I know you're probably drinking from a fire hydrant here, but I also would suggest when you're going through that action plan that you come up with some sort of name that's proprietary to you, the dentist recovery, blah. I don't just think something, but something that's like, hey, when you're saying, here's exactly what you need to do. You want some help? Yeah, I do. Okay, great. This is where I enter my 3-step, blah, blah, blah. Just name it.
Okay.
It's what you're already doing, but like name it. and then make it mirror the solution that you showed them how to do, or what they need to do. And this is the how you can do that for them.
Okay.
I would also, on that first call with them, talk minimums in terms of price, so that you're not doing all this work for somebody who thinks it's going to be $250 a month, and that it's going to be $1,000. To just get that out of the way. Hey, just to let you know, here's what we're going to do. Our packages start at $1,000 a month. That's custom. That's where they start. It could be more. I just want to make sure that you're at least comfortable with that, and we don't move forward. Because that's what that's doing to me, is that it's eliminating all the people who are price shopping.
Yes. Okay. It sounds like a wonderful plan, and I appreciate it. I think
you're not done yet. Hold up. Hold up. So
more. Oh no.
We're gonna wrap this up. So based on this conversation, one of the things that I want to make sure people do is to take action, right? And if you've watched OPP, Outstanding Processes and People to the End, I had the audience do this. But based on this call today, what's the one action item that you're going to take to start off with?
It's going to be revamping my consultation, going over that and making sure I get these ideas before I forget them.
Okay. All right. Now, when you say revamping, what do you mean specifically?
Telling me what to do, the questions that you asked them in the beginning, more about what they're looking for in their business instead of starting out with my questions. I like to have it on paper in front of me when I'm talking to them, because otherwise my head's just all over. So yeah, I want to incorporate these ideas ASAP.
Do you have a consultation on the books yet for the next few weeks?
No, I do not.
Okay. So I would tell you your other action item is to get somebody and start implementing this ASAP.
Okay.
Because it's one thing to do it on paper. It's another thing to do it in real life.
Definitely.
And the best way in which to do to solidify it and to make it real is to actually do it. It's like in practicing all this bookkeeping and practicing anything, that's great. But until you get in there, you could practice on a dummy. I'm sure when you were learning how to become a dental hygienist, it was one thing to practice on the dummy mouth or whatever, but then to get in there and to actually do it on somebody when they go ouch and move and scream and kick and all that, it's totally different, right?
Yes.
So getting in there. But I think that, and I would tell you, before that is to truly, truly have that mind shift and have that talk with yourself all the time that I don't have to have these clients. I have a lot to offer. I have a lot of value, and I'm going to demonstrate that value. And if they become my clients, so be it. If they don't, it's no big deal. Like that confidence is going to come through in these calls. And that right there, I think we'll have that paired with you demonstrating your value is going to make all the difference in the world.
I believe it. Yeah. So I'm excited about getting started with it.
Okay. Well, I would love to do a follow-up to this. Where now you've overcome it. You've got all kinds of people in there. And now you're like, okay, now here's my next problem, right? Or here's my next opportunity, So hopefully we can do a follow-up to this. And I can't get into your schedule because you're so freaking busy. That's where I hope.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for playing along with us. It's great. Anything else that I can do for you today, Annette?
No, you've done a lot. This has been very enjoyable.
Well, good. We like to make it that way. Painless bookkeeping, right? So painless dentistry. All right. Well, thank you so much. That was Annette Woods. Thank you for playing along with us today.
Thank you.
Now, if you'd like to find out more about Annette, her website is bookkeepingaesthetics.com. If I said that right. Did I say it right there?
Yes, aesthetics.
I feel like I'm Sylvester. It's aesthetics. bookkeepingaesthetics.com. You can also check her out on LinkedIn at Annette Woods, RDH. That's Romeo Delta. What's that? Hotel. That would be the other one. Listen, if you would like to hear more great conversations just like today's, then I want you to head on over to ilovebookkeeping.com. There, you're going to find all of the shows, the notes, and some other great goodies that we have for you there. Now, if you'd like to be a guest on the I Love Bookkeeping show, there is a link that says Be a Guest. Go in there, and we'll walk you through the process of getting on the show. And finally, to discover more about our programs, go to the courses page on the ilovebookkeeping.com site. There you have it, another great episode of I Love Bookkeeping. Thank you for being a proud listener, and thank you for being a bookkeeping professional. Enjoy the rest of your week.
I love bookkeeping. Here's a little shout to all my friends working hard at keeping the books. You want to change your life, you want to grow that biz, it's not as hard as it looks.